Have the drink. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rouse Pound for Pound Breakdown. Doing things big today. We got the studio looking a lot better. Today we have the lights up. Got the backdrop set up a little bit more. A lot more of my programs, my pictures. I got Dana White and me over here. We got a lot of these things that, you know, you got me and Randy Couture up here in the corner. Just trying to get this thing together. I mean, if you're watching my podcast, I'm basically doing this just for fun. I'm a big fan of MMA. I do train mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu. I've trained my whole life, taekwondo, karate, did some boxing, kickboxing. Currently a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, working on my purple, hopefully by the end of the year. I do like MMA enough to where I want to be in the shit, and I don't want to fight myself. I'm 35, so I'm past my prime. Now I don't say past it. Fuck, I still look good. But I do want to say that I admire all these people who do mixed martial arts and the people who train in general. There's a lot of guys who are 35, 38, 40. I've trained with dudes who are 70 years old. So seeing a lot of these people out there, it inspires you to keep going to better yourself. Now, you don't have to be the most chiseled person, but having that knowledge to know you can get into an altercation and defend yourself, that's basically what you want to know in the world of mixed martial arts. Now, I come from San Diego. Well, I come from Sacramento. I live in San Diego. And Southern California is the mecca for MMA. You're going to meet a lot of these guys, a lot of these fighters. I've had Mark Munoz in my gym. I've had Sokaju in my gym. I've had a lot of guys that, you know, you never knew who was going to come through the gym. So it's really cool to see, and it's really good because you understand the community. So what I'm getting at today is we got UFC 214 coming up, and I had done a little bit of a breakdown prior to this conversation that I'm having now. I did already do a little breakdown on Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier, but after a little bit of inspiration from my father, talking with him, ways to get this whole thing together, I wanted to do a nice official UFC 214 Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier breakdown. The fight's tomorrow. The weigh-in was today. Let's get into it. Let's have some conversations. I always like to have a nice drink with me while I do this. We got a nice Latitude 33, the honey hips. You got to love them honey hips. Now let's get into it. So, Jon Jones weighed in today. Now, when Jon Jones weighed in, he walked in today and weighed exactly 204.5 pounds. All week, on Thursday and Friday and even Wednesday, he was eating ice cream. He had waffles. The guy's just eating like crazy. Nobody knew what was going to happen. He even took Wednesday off, said he wasn't going to train. He's just going to chill, not even cutting weight. He is so cut. The dude has an 8-pack. He's got muscles on the hips where normal people have that V. He's got muscles there when there's not even muscle to be on that bone. I don't know how he got it. So he's 30 years old. He's in his prime. He won his belt at 23 years old, and his last 4 fights he won by decision. And previous to him getting the belt stripped from him, his current record is 22 wins, 1 loss. That 1 loss coming by Matt Hamill, disqualification, round 1. It was a 12-1 elbow while he was on top of Matt Hamill destroying this motherfucker, and he got disqualified. So it's a dumb rule, and if you don't know anything about the 12-1 rule, it was decided back in the day because of karate, how guys would actually end up walking to bricks or wood, and they would drop elbows and break the wood. Well, that they decided if you could break wood with your elbow, you could definitely kill somebody, which you probably could. But it's no different from a sideward elbow, which, by the way, is Jon Jones' go-to move. With that being said, that 1 loss, they contested it. They lost the contest, and it still stayed as a loss to Jon Jones. He's coming into this fight now after coming off of a win from St. Perdue and then getting put back on the shelf for another year. He actually has 9 knockout wins. He's got 6 submissions. He's got 7 decisions. I'm going to give that to you in a percentage. 41% of his wins are by knockout. 27 of his wins are by submission, and 32% of them are by decision. Now, I'm going to give you some of these people who he actually went to a knockout and who he went to a decision and submission on. So the first one being Chael Sonnen, and that was in April of 2013. That was the first round, and he beat him by elbows. He went into this fight. He fought and grinded Chael Sonnen. Now he's got a reach of a foot difference of Daniel Cormier. With that 1 foot difference, you've got a guy who could shoot punches at you and keep you at a range, especially with his kicks. The dude's legs are long. He can come at you in many different angles. Watch that DC John Jones fight, how he kicks him in the stomach after he pokes DC in the eye. That shit was just, it slapped him so hard, you felt it on the couch. So, first, his last knockout was Chael Sonnen. Before that, it was Mauricio Shogun, who was in March of 2011. He beat Shogun. During this fight, he beat him in the the third round, and it came by punches and knees in the third round. But in that fight, he actually was in trouble. He hyperextended his arm. His arm was completely pulled, bent, hyperextended, and he pulled out of it. He ends up coming back from it and winning the fight. Now, that just shows you the kind of tenacity that John Jones has. John Jones, a guy who's he's no person who's going to be scared of submissions. He actually has a lot of submissions himself. 6 submissions, 27%, like I was saying. Vitor Belfort is a submission that's notable to him. He beat Vitor in September 2012 by key lock. Round 5. This dude fought 5 rounds. In the very end of the round, in the 5th round, he key locks this dude. If you don't know what it is, YouTube a key lock submission. It's a bad motherfucker, dude. John Jones started learning his submissions more so in 2012. You might have heard that John Jones got his blue belt recently under Gracie. Well, that's good, and I know everyone's like, hey, just now got his blue belt? Well, you got to remember, man, this guy doesn't train gi. He trains no gi. And no gi, a lot of the time, I mean, you're not going to get a belt for gi when you're doing no gi all the time. So now he's doing gi. He actually got his blue belt. Congratulations, John Jones. And he won in a crazy fashion. Now let's go back even more. He actually beat Lyoto Machida, one of the baddest dudes on the planet, former champion. I was in the arena when he knocked out Rashad Evans. He made Rashad do the stanky leg. And I actually got to party with Lyoto Machida in the Studio 54 of the MGM Grand back in the day. One of the greatest guys ever. Wanted me to hold the belt, and I told him, nah, I'm good. I don't deserve to hold the belt because that's just how I am. But Lyoto Machida, he fought him in December of 2011. He beat him with a standing guillotine in the 2nd round. Just standing up, when the ref walked up and said, let him go, he let him go, and Lyoto dropped to the ground. Now, Lyoto's a guy that people were trying to figure him out for years, many years, and they couldn't. And when they finally got to the point of where they had given up, like, who the fuck can beat this guy? John Jones steps in and submits him. So, another notable win, Quentin Jackson by submission. That was in September 2011. Actually, it was on 9/11. I just realized that too. Rear naked, 4th round. Knowing that, the dude's got submissions. And not only that, he's only getting better. So you're not really going to see anything that John Jones is going to have an issue with when it comes to submissions. I do want to bring up that he has 7 decision wins by 32%. Of his wins are by decision, 32%. The last 4 of those wins are by decision. The most noticeable ones, the ones that you'll know, Ovince St. Preux, that was in April 2016. He had Daniel Cormier, who he beat the last time, which you're watching the 2nd fight tomorrow. Glover Teixeira, who was in April 2014. That was on my birthday. And Alexander Gustafsson, which was a 5-round fucking war. What a battle, man. What a great fight. I'll watch that fight over and over again because those two dudes, now that's when John Jones actually met a guy who had the same height, the same length, the same everything, and he had skills all around. So with that, I'm going to move on to Daniel Cormier. No, actually, you know what? John Jones, I got some more stuff to tell you about him. Where does he train? John Jones trains in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Jackson Winklejohn. He weighs in 204.5 pounds. He has a 12-inch reach advantage to Daniel Cormier. He could put his arm out there, and that's before he puts his hands out. That's just palm to palm. The dude's got a crazy wingspan. He also stands 6'4" tall. His legs are ridiculous. I don't care to worry about how long his legs are because they're just fucking long. But if he utilizes that reach with Daniel Cormier, he can keep him back and put some punches on him. Last time Daniel got into the clinch with him, did some dirty boxing, really worked that. Jon Jones actually took a lot of hard shots from DC. Now, I really think that if DC does the same concept as last time, it's probably going to end up the same. But I really would like to see Jon Jones take DC down and ground and pound his ass. I'm a Jon Jones fan, and you're going to find out why here in a little bit. Now, Daniel Cormier, let's talk about him. This man is 38 years old, or in Conor McGregor terms, he's 38 years of age. He won the belt at UFC 187 by submission to Rumble Johnson. Daniel Cormier is 5'11", Rumble Johnson, similar height. They basically went in there, and Rumble Johnson threw everything out the kitchen window and said, fuck it, let me fight you. And he got submitted. Daniel Cormier's got 19 wins. He's got 1 loss. That 1 loss is to Jon Jones, UFC 182 by decision. 5-round war. You can go watch it on YouTube free right now. He does have 6 wins by knockout. He's got 6 wins by submission. He's got 7 wins by decision. That's a 32% chance that he's going to knock somebody out, a 32% chance that he's going to have a submission, and a 37% chance that he's going to win by decision. I actually see Daniel Cormier going to decision if he wins this fight. You're going to see him just either grinding or standing and banging with Jon Jones and keeping that distance away. Now, you're not going to see too many big names on Daniel Cormier's roster. I mean, they are big names, but they're not guys that are crazy until later on in his year. Strikeforce years were great, but I mean, he had guys like what's the guy's name? Patrick Cummings that he fought. Actually, let's bring that up. The knockout, he knocked out Patrick Cummings, but that was done at UFC 170. Not really a big name. That was a knockout round 1, February 2014, I want to say. Also, he knocked out Dion Starling. Staring. Knocked out in round 2. This is back in January of 2013 in Strikeforce. So he hasn't really knocked anybody out that really matters. I mean, if you really want to be real about it, he's a fucking wrestler. He's going to grind him out. He has submitted Anthony Rumble Johnson. Those are the most recent submissions, 2 times. He fought him the first time. It was at UFC 187. That was in May of 2015. Also, that's when he won the belt. Then he came back to fight Johnson again at UFC 210. That was in April 2017. Also, same thing, rear naked choked him. Rumble threw the fucking ideas out the window and just said, I'm going to try and wrestle DC, Olympic wrestler. And that shit didn't work out for him. So, with that being said, his decision wins. He has 7 of them. Jon Jones, Alexander Gustafsson, Roy Nelson. Big names. That was actually, Roy Nelson was when he was a heavyweight. So that was actually pretty cool to know because DC has been a heavyweight, which explains why he came in today to weigh in and he was all sucked up. He looked like he definitely was fighting to get that 205. He did have to unrobe completely down to he was naked. That dude's Adam and Eve in it all day. He does train with Cain Velasquez out of American Kickboxing Academy, or AKA, for those of you who know it. Jon Jones, he weighed in at 204.5. The dude was eating pancakes. He was eating yogurt. You got video of him, Instagram, on yogurt. He only did a little bit, not like it's a big deal. But, I mean, he's definitely he's on point right now, dude. The guy's, he's built like a brick shithouse. Daniel Cormier, he had to get naked to get 205 pounds. Now, that's going to hurt a dude. And just knowing that off the bat, as a former heavyweight champion that he was, he should have been able to walk on that scale with shorts on at 205, at 205 pounds. He should have weighed in with shorts on. That's a giveaway for anybody putting bets down right now that he could get tired somewhere through the rounds. Now, DC did have 10 pounds to lose on Wednesday. He lost 5 or 7, 8 on Thursday. Probably lost the rest Friday morning right before weigh-in. He looked like he was tired, just really, really tired. So knowing all this, this is my breakdown of this fight. I see this fight being very, very similar to the last one. I see a huge adrenaline dump coming from Jon Jones. I see Daniel Cormier getting in there, being very focused, but his stamina is going to drop very fast. And I'm going to predict a decision win, new champ, Jon Jones. And that's going to be my picks. So, now that you've watched this, go ahead, check out my Instagram page. It's called Ralph's Pound for Pound Breakdown. What I do is I take the UFC app. It has the fantasy on there. I choose the fantasy. My name on there is Sacktown OG. I choose the fantasy that the fight, the fighter, how they're going to win, and what round they're going to win in. And I post it on Instagram. And after the fights are done and I get my results, I then go and I put them together. I do a side-by-side. So the original fight and then, or the original pick and then the results. So I'm ranked 4,989 or something like that. And you'll see those picks. Follow me on Instagram. That's all I'm rocking right now. Subscribe on YouTube. And leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I've been saying. So check me out. This is Ralph's Pound for Pound Breakdown. We're out. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.